Alright, back again, Luke here. And as you can see in front of me, today we have another one of those arcade PCBs from Ken6275. And I thought we could take a look at this. Seems to be in a bit more of a disastrous shape condition here than a couple of the other ones, but we'll see what we can do with it nevertheless. It doesn't have any stickers over the EEPROMs here on the windows, but looking at it, it looks like the, what is it, Sega system, I don't know what system it is, Sega system boards here. The same ones that use, that are used for, what is it, Thunder Force and Columns, I believe. Those are a couple of the more common ones. Actually, no, I think Thunder Force maybe has two more EEPROMs here, and I think maybe another ROM somewhere around here. But so this one might be Columns, actually. But yeah, it says broken on it, and it does look quite broken. Taking a look at the front here, and the back, ooh, you can see, yeah, some crystallizing or something. I don't know what that is. Acid. I think probably the best thing to do is to clean this thing up. So yeah, before we do that, let's do the right thing and plug it in. Check it out. So let's see what we get on this. Go ahead and grab my adapter here and see what this thing is doing or what it's not doing. I'm guessing it's not going to be doing a whole lot of anything. Alright, let's pop the switch on, turn off this. Okay, there was a flicker of hope there for a minute, and then it died away. Let's see if there's anything on the sink here. Messing with the sink, I can get just a blip of something. You guys can see that. It just looks like that's it. Alright, well, first things first on this board, and that is, it's just way too dirty to see what's going on, and we're going to have to take this off. Those are security pals there, and critters and whatnot, so I'm going to have to take this thing outside. It's way too nasty. I'm going to try and clean this thing off, maybe using a wire brush on the bottom to get rid of some of that other stuff, and then just a regular brush on top. I don't think, do I have my one brush? Maybe I don't have it with me right now, so I'll have to dig that one out. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and clean this up, and oh, there we go. We've got this brush here. It's just a regular kind of soft brush, and that'll help us get off some of the stuff on the top there. But we're going to go and try and clean this up, and ooh, I see that right away. That could be a potential problem. That probably looks like it's going to be a huge issue. It looks like it's cut through. It shouldn't be. So we're going to test that later on, but first let's clean this thing up, and I'll be back. It should look a little bit better. So, it may not look like it too much, but I have gone over this and cleaned up most of the dirt that I could get off with just the brush. Like I said, using a regular brush here, and then using a toothbrush. But some of this stuff is just kind of stuck on there. So, I think I'm going to use some parts cleaner and try and clean the board up. Definitely I could go over this with some simple green and clean it up, which I do on some of the boards, but I just don't want to remove, or the risk of removing any of these labels on here. So this time I'm gonna maybe just use some parts cleaner to clean it up. And as you can see on the back here, this was the area that was a bit kind of iffy, but kind of polished up a bit better. So we are going to try and clean the top off a bit more, and then we'll go ahead and yeah, do the reseating and cleaning of the EEPROMs. Try and get this to boot, and we're going to check this gash that we got there, which is going to be a big one. Like I said, I'm just using some parts cleaner here. Probably can't see it so well, but see if this works, see if it'll take off some of the grime. Go over here. It's a nice sunny day outside, And I'm inside here doing some cleaning. Can we get this off without removing the number? Usually parts cleaner is good for getting off grime and stuff like that that won't normally come off. So I like using it. Wow, this has a very strong smell. Almost smells like, I don't know if you guys have ever smelled what like dead roaches smells like. Don't ask me how I know. But I've bought several gaming consoles over the years, and you know, if you've ever smelled like roaches or roach eggs, I know this is probably not the best discussion for for this, but it has that distinct smell to it. Very, very strong, and it seems to be released by you know, as I clean this, it just like the smell just like whoo right into you. Oh man, that's strong. I don't even know if parts cleaner is going to take this off. It's some pretty rough grime. Usually parts cleaner will take off anything. I don't know what's on there. But as long as I can see the board a bit better, see what the traces and everything look like, I think I'll be okay. Well, hopefully everybody's doing well and enjoying some of these videos here. But like I said, we're just gonna try to clean this up a little bit at a time. Make this a bit better to work with. We've got a couple of RAM chips here. These ones are probably going to be our work RAM, I'm guessing. Or maybe the ones back there will be the work RAM. That doesn't look so great, does it? It looks pretty rough. So, I don't know what this is. This is a... Jeez, that's really hard to read. Ugh. As it grabs hold of the camera. 27, that's an 08. So I think I'm just going to replace that, guys. Like I said, sometimes just doing this preventative maintenance is key, and I'm going to remove that 08. Now, there's a couple of ways of removing this stuff here, but I'll probably show you guys that in a bit. Doesn't seem like this is taking off a whole lot. Yeah. It's making some points better, but then, yeah, still underneath you can, it's like there's a new layer that's kind of forming, so. Alrighty, well, I suppose I'll do some of this off camera here and see how far we can get this polished up, and then I'm going to chop that out. In fact, I could probably chop that out right now. Show you guys how to do some of this stuff here. If I can find my side cutters. Really simple. Make sure that you actually have the parts though before you do this. I know I have an 08, 74 LS 08 somewhere. So what you can do is simply just cut the legs one by one. And the reason why you should do something like this versus try to desolder it, especially since it's such a chip that's you know, easy to get like this, is because with Sega boards especially, well, it could be any board, but Sega, Konami, the traces are so fragile that if you slip or if you apply too much heat or even just trying to desolder it, you'll wind up getting the trace ripped or broken or whatnot, and it can be the more painful way to replace stuff. Man, that is crusty. Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing we removed that. Look at that. It's just all sorts of stuff under there. This is so nasty. But yeah, I do have 108. That's interesting. Is this one? Is this an F08? Yeah, it's a 27C F08, which is a fast, what is it, Shakati, I think, prom, so yeah, that's pretty rough. So anyway, we're going to try and clean that off. To see if I can find another F08 and put that in there. And yeah, then we'll continue the cleaning slash scraping process of getting everything else out of here. It looks like it might be under the sockets as well. Just so much stuff going on here. It looks like kind of insect remnants. So yeah, guys, we'll get on that and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so as I mentioned before here, I tried to get rid of some of the stuff that was on the inside, and I was almost a bit worried because I didn't know if I had a was it 74F08? I was like, oh no, do I actually have an F? I have some 74LS08s, which for those of you who don't know, the F is actually a faster one than the LS, and then before that there was just an 08. So you can change an 08 with an LS, or you can upgrade it to an LS08, but you can't really downgrade an F to an LS08. So here is the, I don't know if you guys can see this. This is our replacement chip here. So we cut all the legs off, and the next thing we're going to do is remove them. Removing this can be very easy. All you need to do is apply a bit of some flux around the area, and using a pair of tweezers, ta-da, and your handy soldering pen. And just go and heat it up, and clip and pull. I should probably find a garbage can that I can put this in. But probably good to have a ventilated area, and some of these may be a little stuck because the pins on the bottom might be bent, or they may be traces that are used for power lines or for grounding lines, which will automatically make them a bit thicker because they'll need more thickness for conductivity. So there we go. Coming up here, you can see all that nasty smoke. This one, the pins on the back, I'm sure are probably bent. Some of these ones on the corners, especially the far corners, either the upper right and the bottom left, or the upper left and the upper, what am I trying to say? The corners on the sides here. Just I'm losing my mind. And if you can't get this to come off easily, you can add a bit more solder to the end, and these will help heat this up just a bit more. And as you do this, you should be able to get it. Actually, for some of these, if they don't come out, we can use our side cutters and apply some pressure, especially on these corner ones, because they're going to be the hardest to get out. This one as well, on this corner, is going to be a bit difficult. Well, that being said, it popped right out. So, but yeah, this chip is one that I just, just looking at it, looks like it needed to be replaced, and looking underneath it, kind of further reassured me that that was something that needed to be taken out. So once you get all the legs out here, then you can flip the board over, and you can just, using your solder sucker, just clear out all the holes. I don't recommend doing it from the top here, just do it from the bottom. Bottom's always best. I don't even know what I'm talking about. So, let's see here. Get our last one there, and there we go. I got one stuck to my soldering pin to be taking you off there. And like I said, I can flip this thing around, and key point is to remember where you pulled the stuff off from. Yeah, it should be around here. Double check. You can just flip it back over. Yep, that's right. And then here we're going to add some more flux along these two lines. Going to add some more solder. It seems a bit redundant, and I mean, when you look at it, it's like, oh, more solder here, more solder here, and more flux here. But it will make all the difference when you go to remove this. It should clean up all these holes nicely. Actually, I might have added just a bit too much, but let's see, grab the solder sucker. I've learned to be creative here on the camera, on the sides here. Whether it's going to work or not, that's a different story. You'll notice that I'm just kind of holding the soldering pen here on an angle. You don't want to jab the tip down in there. I know that doesn't sound right, does it? But you really just don't want to jab the end of this down in there, you'll wind up ripping traces out and making more damage to the board than what you need. Just go along the sides there, you should be okay. And the last two holes here, the ones on the corners, are going to be the most difficult to remove the solder from. So you can do one of two things. You can either get your socket and push in the legs on the corners here one at a time while you heat up the bottom, or you can be patient and hold your soldering pen on there for quite some time until you get it completely cleaned off. This is a bit more difficult on an angle than I thought it would be. On an angle, I mean by me reaching around the camera here. But we are getting it. I'll show you here in just a minute. Sometimes for the last two you can go on the... Gotta love it when the camera decides it's gonna shut off there. Let's see if we can put this back there. We've still got a couple more points here to go, and these are gonna be our two key points. As you can see, I've got most of the solder removed. On the other side, what we'll do is, in some cases you can take the solder here and you can kind of push it through. Now just on these two pins, just kind of try and flood the hole here a little bit. Heat the solder up on the other side, and this can sometimes work. Just keep it molten on this part here. You can notice I actually wound up flooding the other hole there, but make sure you keep this nice and hot, and it might take a few minutes or a while here to heat it up. You can use hotter heat, but let's see if this will work. It didn't work for that one. So now on the other side, once again, we'll go ahead and try the same thing on this side here. Add a bit of some solder. It sometimes might peek through on the other side, which can help out quite a bit as well. Try this one too. I don't think this is going to work as well, but no, it didn't work on that one. But we'll flip it back over here, and you can see that all of our holes here, for the most part, are all cleaned out. We've just got those two last ones on the side, so let's give it another shot here from the top. See if we can get some of this solder to go down in there. Possibly flood that hole a bit more. Seems a bit crusty there on the top, but we'll hold a little ball of solder up there. Sometimes if the solder starts to go through, you can see it kind of seep down. It'll disappear from the end of the tip here. Sometimes this doesn't work at all, but sometimes you can get lucky. And I think you guys can see there, seems to have removed one. Can we see it? Let's see here. I think we got one side, but we still got another one, and this one here is flooded because it was next to it. But yeah, as you can see, we've got one there that's kind of come undone. We've still got this one over here, but that's one way that you can do it. And like I said, it doesn't work every time, but sometimes this will help to get the old solder out, and once the old solder mixes with the new stuff, it makes it a bit easier to pull the old stuff out. But sometimes the copper is just so thick that it doesn't penetrate. So once again, we'll try and let this sit here for a couple seconds. Yeah, that one's gonna maybe need a bit more down there, but you can get the idea, the general gist. If you can't get this out, what you can do, like I said, is just remove the solder as much as you can, heat up the solder from the bottom while you push the pin through the top on the socket. Yeah, this one's going to be stubborn here, so but yeah, as you can see, it's not coming out. on that some, but we'll get a socket in there nevertheless. So I'm going to clean this up with a bit of some alcohol, rubbing alcohol as usual, and try to make this a bit easier to see. Bit of some extra alcohol there. This has some crusty stuff on there. I don't know if our Q-tip is going to be enough here to get this off, because there is quite a bit on there. Some of this extra stuff that's around here is, I think, remnants of the bugs that were on the board, but you can see it's a bit better there. Not perfect, but a bit better. So I'm going to try and clean this up a bit more here, and we'll get a socket in there, get the new chip in, and then we'll just see if that changes anything. Probably not, but we'll try anyway. So as I was removing some of these chips here, I noticed that the sockets do not look so great. I mean, you can see we've got some oxidization going on there, some rust. This is a security chip here, and I've been trying to clean it up a little bit, but as you can see, the legs are pretty bad. So because this socket is so bad, I'm going to remove that socket. I'm going to replace it with a new one. I might wind up replacing all of these, but definitely going to replace this one because it's essential here for this security chip in order to work. So we're going to take that out and put in a new one. And like I said, I might do these ones too, I'm not sure, but that's going. And here's the bottom of our nasty little sockets. As you can see, those look grungy and dirty. So I'm going to clean that up, same as before, popped out a new socket, and that should be that. So I decided to go over these ones one by one, and after replacing this socket here, I decided to replace this one, and then when I pulled out this socket, it looked pretty bad as well. So I'm just going to do all of these ones in here. As you can see, this is really rough too, so I think it's a good idea that I just decided to go through all of these and replace the old sockets with brand new ones. That way we don't have to worry about any conduction problems or anything like that. Plus I can check to see what the traces are like underneath it. So, but yeah, there we go. Just a couple more to go and we'll have this whole row done. So as you can see here, I've removed all of those sockets and I've put in brand new ones, and those are all nice and shiny and all in very, very well. And these are the ones that I pulled out. So as you can see, I mean, some of the legs on here are tarnished, some are green. The bottoms of these look really, really bad, and even by cleaning up the EEPROMs, probably putting them back in these sockets would not be a good idea in the first place. So those are all good. The next thing that I'm going to do here is before we try and fire this on, I want to take a look. You guys can see that this is a pretty big gouge there, and I know that that's not factory, but I'm worried about this pin being connected to that, and just looking through the camera it looks like it's not connected. But what we're going to do here is just try to line this up and just check it with our multimeter and see what we get. What we're going to have to do is scrape away a little bit of the solder mask in order to be able to get a good connection, and for that to happen, let's see if I can find my scraping X-Acto knife here. I don't know how good of a spot I can get to show you guys here, but we're just gonna move this here, take a look down here. We're gonna remove a little bit of the solder mask on the other side here, because we already have a pin on this side we can test. Right here. This will be a good testing point, but we're going to scrape away a little bit of solder mask there in order to be able to check if it's connected or not. Maybe it is. I'm not sure, but let's give this a shot here. Okay, got and it is not connected. Okay, we do have a break in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to patch this with a wire, and I'm not going to run it too far. Like, where is the end of this? Just out of curiosity. Is it up here? How far? Where does that go? Jeez, it's hard to follow this wire here. There's 2 in there. There, it should be up here, I thought. Or maybe it goes to one of these. I'm not sure where this is. It's definitely keeping on there. It's 2. Yeah, I'm not sure where this connects to. I'm gonna have to probably take a couple more minutes here to try and figure out where this is all connected to. There's a lot of wires in here, a lot of traces, but I'm gonna try and find the end of this and then double check, make sure there's continuity there before I go ahead and work on this. So I'll see you in a bit. Alright, so I found the end of this one. It's way up here in the middle, and that's where it is. That's the point that we're working on. And as you can see here, touching this pin, we're getting nothing here, touch here, and we're getting here, nothing. So it is broken. Like I said, instead of running a huge patch wire that would go, you know, all the distance of this one, I'm just going to run a small short one here just to bridge this area or just to fix it. Now some people like to run a solid wire because it would be a very strong patch, whereas other people like to do it so it doesn't look so bad on the board. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of a shorter one here, try and go around that. I'm going to use a bit of some regular wire here, and about this much here. I'm going to sand it down a little bit, because by sanding it down I'm going to be able to get the solder and the flux to stick on it a little bit more. So I'm just going to sand it down until you get to a bit of some bare copper here. I mean, you could use any kind of copper. You could probably use just regular copper wire. You can see how it looks a little bit more like copper now. And I'm going to put one piece on this side. I'm going to bend it down. I'm going to tin this up with some solder here, and then we're going to fix it. After that, we're going to put some solder mask over the top of it and close it up just to make it more solid. So I'll show you guys the final result on that in just a second. So as you can see here, what I've done is I've put one end into the via here, and I've tried to make this take the same kind of contour as the original trace. And the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to chop off the end here. You got to make sure that you're careful when you do this too, because you don't want to accidentally chop the trace in a different place. So what we're going to do is just find the end here. Should be pretty good. I'm just going to lightly hold it down and wiggle this back and forth until it breaks. I'm not applying any pressure at all because, like I said, I don't want this to wind up cutting the trace. So in theory here, we're gonna give this another shot. This should be good. So we'll check our spot here. This is gonna be our starting spot, and then we'll check here, and bingo, we have got continuity again. So now that we have continuity to this, we've got all these replaced. The only other logical thing to do would be to plug it in here and check. Let's make sure that that's not poking out. It doesn't seem to be. Looks alright. Let's plug this in and check some of that. See what game this is, or see if it does anything different, or hope for the best. I mean, we still could have RAM issues. Who knows? But, alright. Ready? Let's turn the lights off. Let's see what we got. And I think we're still getting nothing. Do we have any? Let's try and mess with the Nope, nothing there. Oh, you know what? I don't think I have this thing. I don't have this plugged in. Where is the other end of my cable? I think I might have unplugged my cable. Well, that could be a reason why there's nothing. Not even a small glimpse. Let's try this again. Well prepared, I guess. Let's see if we get anything different now. Well, still just a flicker, unfortunately. I mean, it kind of looks like, yeah, doesn't look really a little bit different, like with the moving here, but not much. So, yeah, doesn't look like it's doing much. We're gonna have to check these mask ROMs, see if we can get anything. Oh. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's doing very much at all. So, still nothing super positive coming out of this board yet. But these RAM could be bad. These EEPROMs definitely could be bad. But you've seen the condition of this thing, how it was before. These are also RAM chips on the side here. Sega Custom. Could be a multitude of things here with this board. Is anything getting hot? Not really. Might have to check to see if we get a clock as well. But yeah, there's a lot of points here that could be off on this. So back to the drawing board. Thought it would be kind of neat if that was the only thing that was wrong with it, but looks like we're gonna have to check a little bit more. This board's not gonna be that easy on us, is it? There's no sound for coin. Yep, nothing there. Alright, so I'm gonna try and see if I can read these EEPROMs, and then we'll come back and see what else we can do. Alright, so what I did is I tried to check these EEPROMs here, and they both came up as blank. Actually, one came up as faulty, so I went online and tried to see if I could find something, especially taking a look now that I was able to find the numbers on this board. And I came across a listing for a board that was a columns board. And as you can see here, the security panel and everything line up exactly the same here. And it does have the two chips there on the side, and same numbers here. It's going to be a little bit difficult to see, but exact same numbers. So I went and I burned a couple of new chips here, and I've got IC 32 and 31. I just put those in there. I haven't tried this thing yet, but I figured we could go ahead and give this a go, see what happens with that. So let's try this one more time here. Yes! Look at that! Man, this is awesome! Alright! Freaking A, this is cool. Does it? Yes, it's playing. It is playing. Nice. Let's see. Does it have volume though? Maybe it doesn't have any sound. Maybe the sound's off. Let's see. Yes! Oh my gosh! It has sound. Check this out, guys. This is sweet. Just keep it on easy. Let's see if the controls work. Hints will be given. I mean, it is only columns, but then again, it's alive and working. This is cool. We've got yet another board here. This one was in some really rough shape. Sweet. Does player 2 work? Yes, it appears to work. Yeah, everything is working here, guys. Let's see, does down work? Yeah, down works too. Well, there we have it. Another arcade PCB here. Saved from the grave.
This is awesome. Glad to be able to keep these monsters from the dumpster. 'Cause that's exactly where they would be. We're just sitting on a shelf, just kind of rusting away. Huge thanks to Ken for sending these out my way to try and give them a bit more life here. This isn't going to be anything special, is it? You can see it now in the comment section, like, Luke, you need to learn how to play columns.
Well, maybe now I can, now that this monster is back up and working again. This is fantastic. But yeah, just want to share with you guys another look at another repair video here. And this time we've got columns up and running. This one was one of the really, really rough ones that was kind of iffy. Really wondering if we were going to get this thing running again, but surprisingly, the RAM and everything still work. Another cool thing about this is the Fujitsu RAM. This stuff is really, really durable. I mean, super strong. Almost never dies, but other RAM has a tendency to just kind of meh. And I'm surprised that it hasn't, you know, over the years. Who knows how long this has just been sitting. But cool to see another game up here, Resurrected. Look at that. Reminds me of the old Sega Genesis. I'm sure it does for a lot of you guys as well. But there we have it. So we'll try and get some more boards up and running here soon. But thanks again for watching.